Alex Winter was a dart.
My next guest tonight is a chap I first saw 12 years ago in front of 120 people at the Blue Note Club in Derby. Since then, he's been right to the top of the pop world. He's still knocking around, one of the great survivors of British pop. Please welcome Boy George.
Listen, can we just
He's using Hufty's passport for a fan. That's terrible.
We should never get
She'll need that. She'll need that later.
Get back to her later.
Get back to her later.
It's too hot in here.
Listen, I mean, I know you want to talk about your label and give that a plug, but I just thought, there's this biography, the Boy George, the autobiography, the book.
I thought we were going to talk about underage sex.
No! Couldn't do that. I was going to say what you think my name is, Roman Polanski. Oh, I was going to mention someone else, actually, but... No, but listen, you know, in 1990 we're talking about it. You talked about it on the show 2 years ago. You talked about it on the show... Well, you're going to talk about it now.
I've been talking about
Have you got it written yet?
It's almost done. It's like 3/4 done. I'm a perfectionist. I have to get it right. It has to be great. I don't want a boring book. I want people to really enjoy it.
Is it a pop-up book? Wouldn't that be killer if some of the biography was a pop-up book?
What? Pop-up book.
Yes, I know. I'd make pop-up too.
Charming. But no, I was beginning to think it was a bit of a scam, you know, that every time you wanted a bit of publicity for your More Protein label, you think, hey, I'll give him the biography.
I'm not here to talk about my book. I mean, I've got a record out. I'm not here to talk about a book. Piss off.
Listen, you have got a record. No, he's quite right. He's quite right. He has got a record. You have got a record out at the moment. The Devil in Sister George.
Top 20 dance record this week.
The EP. Let's have a look at it. Let's have a look.
I would give everything I own, give up my life, my heart, my own. I would give everything I own, just to have you back again, just to hold you once again, yeah.
Yes. Sorry. You've already had a big hit with that, though, haven't you?
Well, it's a 1994 remix by Maffy and Fluxy, these really sort of hardcore reggae guys. So it's more authentic now. I redid it. When I first did it, I was just coming off drugs and I was really singing out of tune. So I've redone it.
Don't tell everybody you bought the original version.
Well, I don't care. They can buy it again.
When your album at worst, the best of Boy George and Culture Club came out, I mean, it did really well. And I remember seeing the Omnibus documentary about you when you actually were sitting in the record company office in New York, and the guy was there saying, "That's fantastic," and getting everyone in and all dancing around. Now, was that fueled by cocaine, or was that the Americans just being very positive?
Well, the thing about Americans is that they're very enthusiastic, overly enthusiastic. You know, in England, they're very sort of arms crossed, you know, impress me. And actually, I'd much rather work with somebody who was up like that than some, you know, miserable git, basically.
But didn't you feel a bit embarrassed, though, sitting there?
I think I showed my embarrassment.
I thought you handled it really well, but I thought them...
I think the funniest thing was there was Hare Krishna chanting going on, he was eating steak. And he kept offering me vegetables, which was really funny. But, you know, it's like when you take a camera into a supermarket, people always overdo it, you know. Us professionals know how to do it in front of cameras, don't we, Terry?
Well, you speak for yourself. Very considerate, I thought, though, offering you the vegetables, really. And we will talk about your More Protein label in a minute. But meanwhile, it's off to the girl whose passport Boy George has been unashamedly...
My friend MC wants to meet her, actually.
Well, she can do any time. Hufty in Southend. Hufty.
Thank you, Terry. Welcome to Gay Away Day. Yes, it's that time of the day again. It's Gay Away Day. And I said before... Hey, George, see you, Terry.
Yeah, see ya. There you go. That's it. That's the old passport photo. OK. And there is the lovely Hufty's passport photo. Zoom in on that. Lovely. That's very nice. Did you think they got rid of the right geezer there?
It's kind of a horrible show, really, isn't it?
Dee went home and hanged himself after that.
You used to be able to choose your lovers in private, don't you think? Terry.
No, you can't do that. You didn't do that years ago. In fact, you couldn't even remember. I was the reason why you were that successful getting you on my radio show in Derby that time. And I was the one clapping after you there.
A little
finished the
Darby
song.
plug there.
I've always loved you, Terry.
I know you have, I know. Listen, listen, we'll have something, how can I put it? Well, you're a vegetarian, aren't you? And
I eat some meat.
Eh? I'm going to tell my mother on you.
Where is Alexis Arquette when you need him anyway?
Listen, we told you about that one. Do you reckon you could do, if he gets his autobiography written, you could have Boy George the movie, couldn't you, Alex?
So we're having a conversation here, Terry.
About Alexis Arquette, I was asking
All
if
right,
he's a puff.
we don't want to speak about that, do we? Yes, it's time for this week's Hopeful, as I was saying earlier, and this week it's a bit of a warning to those of you who don't like too much animal fat or cholesterol in your diets. Have a look at this. Welcome to the Hopefuls, people who say they'd do anything. And welcome back to part 3. We're still with me, of course, Boy George, who keeps making loads of innuendo, but that's British humour for you.
Isn't that an Italian suppository? No, it's something else.
Get your cock out.
Oh. Ooh, hey, I bet nobody got that one, did they? Nobody got that. That was a bit too subtle, wasn't it?
There's a grandmother in Essex who got that one, probably.
Just about. Coming up in this part, we have exclusive footage of the last movie that River Phoenix made before he died. We've also got the results with Hufty of our competition down there in Southend Airport, of all places. But my next guests tonight are, well, 2 young rising stars in Hollywood who are trying to keep it all in the family, so to speak.
Their daddy may have been 60s hippie Donovan, but these kids are the chicest brother and sister act in Hollywood.
Ione Skye, nice to meet you. Donovan Leitch. I kept thinking it was Donovan Lech all day.
No, I'm not a lech. I'm a leech.
Well, listen, that's not what I've heard from reading a few of the things about you. You actually were president of Hollywood High School.
Yeah, I was. I was president and I was prom king as well.
So were you like a model student when you were there?
I was a terrible student, like C-, you know, but I knew how to schmooze people. You know what schmoozing is?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Arse licking, we call it.
Exactly.
Sorry. Charming people. Actually, I should say this is Boy George. You've met,
We do.
you know everyone, don't you? And Alex, have you met Alex?
We know each other.
Well, blimey, it's a small world, isn't it?
Actually, I'm very good friends with your mom, too, Terry.
Me too. She could be passed once.
People have seen you in various movies over here, you know, and you know things like the Rachel Papers, the River's Edge, and everything. What have you been up to recently?
I was in New York doing this play, and in a couple months I'm going to do this movie called Paul is Dead.
About Paul McCartney. But now you two used to hate each other when you were kids, didn't you?
Of course not.
Well, this is all in your press, isn't it?
No,
that you never really spoke to each other.
She was very shy. She was locked in her room. She used to listen to Purple Rain all day long. And then all of a sudden she came out one day, you know? I mean, came out of the room.
This is innuendo central here.
Well, kind of. But I've also read that you've said that you wanted to do nude scenes.
That I wanted
in your
to?
movies, yes, early on.
I don't mind, but you know.
Well, I'm not going to ask you to do one now. And you said that you can't wait to appear full frontal.
Absolutely. Yeah. It's in the next film that I do is actually in my contract that I have to appear full frontal nudity.
No, you actually played your father, Donovan, didn't you, in the movie The Doors?
Yeah, it was sort of just an excuse to be in an Oliver Stone picture, you know.
And wear clothes.
I auditioned for every single role in The Doors. I didn't get any parts, and then I was like, well, I'll play my dad. And I hung out at the Whiskey for a week and watched Val Kilmer.
Was that an easy thing? Was that an easy thing to do in a way? I mean, what did your dad think that you playing him?
I'm not sure if he knew. But I looked great. I was in like all the, you know, the old outfits exactly he used to wear, and I did his hair and kind of like curled it and everything like that. But it was great. It was just fun, you know. We were on the Sunset Strip, and they completely redid the Whiskey to look exactly like it looked in 1966. And it's pretty brilliant, yeah.
I mean, reading about you, Ione, I mean, it does seem that in some ways you were quite a shy kid and everything. It would seem strange to me that you go into something, you know, like, I don't know, you know, where you are in the spotlight a lot. Was that a hard thing for you to decide to do?
Well, I did it very reluctantly in the beginning, but I don't know. I think it's sort of common. I've heard that before, where people, they bust out, you know. I mean, I was always very creative in painting and that's kind of quiet. But, you know.
So who are your friends? You know, who did you hang around with in Hollywood?
All the famous people, right? Alex?
Oh yeah, everybody.
John, Keanu, you know, the works.
But it did seem like that because I mean you went out with the guy at the Chili Peppers for a while, and now you're married to Adam Horovitz, who's actually on the record, who owns a record label that your band signed to.
Well, yeah, actually we recorded at Grand Royal Studios, yeah, and we're, it's funny because our music is complete sort of 90s androgynous glam rock, and then we've got like, we're recording at the Beastie Boys studio, and we're singing songs like Gender Bender, and then Adam's going, yo, that's dope, man, Gender Bender.
Kind of. Sort of.
Yeah, you have to back your vocals really, won't you? So do you actually know any normal people?
Me.
Listen, we've had quite a lot of phone calls and letters in the last week over something that we promised that we'd show you last week. This is it, River Phoenix, and a few clips of the last movie he made before he died.
Gossip. Sneak preview.
I'd like to invite up here on stage with us Miss Miranda Presley.
When River Phoenix died in October '93, his last...
River Phoenix, like I said, we've had an awful lot of reaction since we advertised that, and also when we did a tribute just after his death. Now, I mean, you actually used to go to the Viper Room, didn't you, where River Phoenix died in Los Angeles, and hang out there?
No, that's another thing that's not really true. I've been to the Viper Room one time. I mean, River was a very good friend of ours, and, you know, what can I say, you know, except that it's an intense tragedy that had to happen, and I think the Viper Room was just a club. It was just a place that something like that happened, you know.
I mean, it was drugs, and George, you've kind of been there in a way. I mean,
I'm the expert.
But why is that? I mean, people at home would think, well, you know, I mean, all right, people do use drugs and everything, but it always seems to be.
Most of the people in this country use drugs. What are you talking about? It's not just going on the Viper Room.
Okay, over to Hufty now for the final of our competition. Hufty.
Welcome to the Gay Away.
Oh yes, what a top guy. Well done to the winner there, and we will be filming live from the Gay Mardi Gras in Sydney next week with Hufty and Urbo. I don't think she's going to fly all the way. Thanks for coming in tonight, Alex. Thank you very much, Ione. We didn't get time to wrap. Yeah. Thank you for coming in.
All right.
Lovely to meet you. And he packed in Susanna Hoffs when he was going out. He just told me. And thanks for coming in, George. And we'll finish off tonight. Afghan Wigs from America. This is Debonair. See you next week. Ta-ra.